later on. Regina.
Indeed. So we welcome your feedback. You can get us on Twitter. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. Mine is at Ray Manyora. I can see a majority of you are already streaming live. We have Dennis Kimani, who is in Kericho. They're watching KBC Channel 1. Thank you very much for your time, as well as Tom Mwema, who is currently under the weather and as such has the time to watch the program. You can give us your feedback on these platforms, either on individual platforms or our station handle, our platform on Twitter at KBC Channel 1. In not too long, we're going to be speaking news that has been making headlines in the last 24 hours. Do not go away. Good morning, I'm Regina Manyara and you're watching In the Headlines on KBC Channel 1. Now, it is a relief for Nairobi County Senator Johnson Sakaja after the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Dispute Resolution Committee expunged a letter from the Commission of the University Education. The letter stating that the senator's degree from Team University in Uganda is not recognized, will not be used in the proceedings before the tribunal. The commission says there is need for a clarification on Sakaja's degree certificates acquired from Team University in Uganda after concerns emerged about its authenticity. The revocation comes barely a day after a lobby group wrote to the Uganda Minister of Education, Janet Museveni, to compel Team University to produce Sakaja's admission letter, details of payment of tuition fees and evidence that he attended classes. The Nairobi senator has accused his political rivals of plotting to frustrate his Nairobi gubernatorial bid. The proceedings will continue before the IEBC tribunal as Sakaja moves to the High Court to dispute the decision by the Commission on University Education to revoke his degree.
This affidavit is critical to the determination of this matter. Chair, honorable members, unless we are saying that we are engaging in a casual exercise, but my understanding, and which is my humble submission, is that we are seeking to get to the bottom of the issue before us.
It has nothing to do with the proceedings herein. We are not in any way seeking to have these proceedings stayed or reviewed by the High Court. Commission for University Education is not a part in these proceedings.
It is the order of this committee that the affidavits dated 12th and 15th of June 2022 be and are hereby expunged from the record of the committee.
Well, that story, as well as a statement that was made public in regard to the decision there, has continued to draw a lot of debate, with some interpretation there needing some legal interpretation as to the direction that the High Court took. But in basic is that the High Court could not have denied Sakaja's basic rights. So we are waiting to hear the determination of that particular case. And with 53 days to go, well, we see it is indeed a race against time when it comes to Johnson Sakaja's gubernatorial bid there. Now, to bilateral relations, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Zambian counterpart Hakainde Hichilema are set to hold bilateral talks for 2 days with an aim of enhancing relations between the two countries. President Hakainde Hichilema arrived in the country Wednesday and was accorded a state reception ceremony, including a guard of honor mounted by the Kenya Defence Forces and a 21-gun salute. This is Hichilema's first official visit to Kenya after he got into power in August 2021.
We see Zambia as a strategic and a vital trading partner, but also an investment partner for Kenya in several areas. Trade and investment will remain one of the strongest pillars of our bilateral relations, and I believe it is imperative that we commit to putting in place mechanisms that will enhance the ease of trading, that will promote investment between our two countries, and that will tap on the existing potential that exists in our respective countries for the mutual benefit of our two peoples.
Kenya and Zambia, as you have said, come a long way in terms of our relationship as countries. I believe our founding fathers got to know each other even before independence. And when
urge government agencies and the private sector to collaborate in the fight against the virus.
I therefore implore also our political actors to put national interest above self-interest. Do not ethnically polarize Kenyans.
Through the action plan, NCIC will also develop workplace policies against perpetration and perpetuation of hate speech and empower legal frameworks to combat the virus.
This early warning information will be supplemented by reports from community perception surveys that will be conducted by Amnesty International and availed to Uguyano.
As Kenya becomes the first nation in the world to unveil action plan against hate speech, politicians and citizens have been urged to shun making of remarks that might be insulting, abusive, or threatening before, during, and after the general election.
As they say, in everything that you do, you need to watch your words there. Indeed, the tongue there can be quite the organ to get you into situations. Now, speaking on matters politics, Deputy President William Ruto has promised to improve the economy and lower the cost of living if he is elected president in the upcoming polls. He was speaking in Kisii, and he said his government will give loans devoid of interest to small businesses to uplift the lives of Kenyans.
The Kenya Kwanza team took its campaigns to Kisii on Wednesday. The brigade, led by Deputy President William Ruto, said their top priority if they form the next government will be lowering the cost of living.
Safari hii tutaweka pesa ya serikali ndio imsaidie mwananchi wa kawaida hapa chini, na hiyo pesa haitakuwa na interest yoyote.
Ruto promising farmers value for their products coupled with low cost of fertilizer and farm inputs.
Ndio mimi nimesema tutaweka pesa ya kutosha kwa kilimo, tupunguze gharama ya mbolea, tupunguze gharama ya mbegu, tuhakikisha kwamba mkulima anapata bei ya sawasawa kwa mazao yake.
Sisi tunasema kupitia kwa serikali ya Kenya Kwanza ni lazima tubadilishe maneno, wa Kenya wapate nafuu, maisha ambayo ni magumu yaanze kurudi chini.
Kila kitu imepanda. Kura ya tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8 ni kura ya kuteremsha bei ya unga. Kura ya kuteremsha bei ya maisha yetu yote.
Ruto's running mate Rigathi Gachagua led Kenya Kwanza campaigns in Kiambu County. Here, the team accused the government of undermining local businesses.
Nyinyi watu ya KRA, kwa nini mnatumiwa vibaya na watu ya Azimio? Msikubali kutumiwa kuangaisha biashara kwa sababu ya mambo ya siasa. Mwache kufungia watu wetu biashara ati ili waende kwa kuzimia.
Still on the political campaign, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga promises major investment in infrastructure and economic empowerment if he is elected president. Raila was speaking in campaigns in Ukambani region and said the construction and upgrading of roads will form a part of his government plan to increase cross-border trade.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga pitched camp in Ukambani region while addressing residents in one of the stopovers in Mutomo. Raila breathed life into his recently launched manifesto, promising major investments in infrastructure and water projects, as well as economic empowerment.
Unaona hapa magari kutoka Addis Ababa yanapita hapa kuelekea Mombasa na kurudi. Na biashara kubwa sana itakuja hapa kwenu hapa Mutomo. Sawa sawa? Kwa hiyo tutamaliza. Itakuwa nywe. Sasa barabara zingine hapa ndani yote tutatengeneza sawa sawa. Barabara ndio kazi yangu.
Anaelewa zaidi kama mchoraji, kama engineer. Safari moja tulitembea naye, sasa imefika tu kilomita chache kutoka Mwingi. Tukichukua mamlaka, Mungu atusaidie, kutoka Mwingi mpaka Usueni mpaka Maua ishikane na Isiolo. Ndio mtaona tauni zetu zitakuwa zaidi.
Raila leading his allies to marshal support for his 2022 State House bid.
Nataka kuona kama kila Mkenya anacheka. Ndio tutakuwa tumemudu wale madui wetu watatu: ujinga, ugonjwa na umaskini.
Mimi nawaomba kwa heshima, tarehe 9 kura zote ziende kwa Raila. Mwenyezi Mungu awabariki.
Raila also took the opportunity to endorse former Kitui Governor Dr. Julius Malombe for another stint in the coming general election.
Naona nyinyi hapa mmeamua ya kwamba mnataka gavana awe Malombe.
Raila revealed his plan to assign Governor Charity Ngilu a docket if he forms the next government. His running mate Martha Karua led similar campaigns in Kerugoya, Kirinyaga County, promising zero tolerance to corruption should they win in the August polls.
Kila mpango kwa serikali inahitaji pesa. Ile uporaji iko Kenya siku ya leo. Ile matumishi baya ya pesa za umma na wizi tupu. Isipokomeshwa, hiyo maneno yote haiwezi endelea.
Meanwhile, a section of ODM legislators in Mombasa County has warned their UDA counterparts against politicizing Mombasa port issues. Led by Mvita Member of Parliament Abdul Somad Sharif Nasser, the leaders insist that Deputy President William Ruto's promise to return port operations to Mombasa is hypocritical.
Kwa hivyo sisi tunawaambia tu ya kwa watu waje wawe matalii kama vile walivyokuwa matalii kama siku zote. Wakimaliza tuachieni mji salama, tuachieni bandari yetu salama bila utapeli.
Now Now from Mombasa, we delve to Busia County, where security agencies will beef up security on the Kenya-Uganda border to verify Kenyan voters living in Uganda who will cross over to cast their ballot in the August 9th general election. Elsewhere, Bomet Governor Hilary Barchok has decried increased fuel prices, saying it will raise the cost of living.
Speaking during a stakeholders meeting, Busia County Commissioner Ahmed Omar revealed they will work closely with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to confirm the Kenyan voters living in Uganda.
We wouldn't want to have these people brought in a lorry by a politician or something like that, because we have laws that deal with that. What we are saying is that if I am a Kenyan, I'm living, my family is in Kenya, I have a shop across in Busia, what will stop me from coming to vote here if the time to vote comes?
Omar also warned politicians against ferrying voters from the neighboring country. Elsewhere, Bomet Governor Hilary Barchok took his campaigns to Kaptembo in Konoin sub-county, where he decried the increased fuel prices, saying it will raise inflation.
Vitu ambayo tunanunua kwa duka from industries, kwa sababu mambo ya mafuta imeenda juu, na hiyo karama itaangushwa kwa the common man. Wewe ndio utalibia hiyo karama.
Elsewhere, Machakos Deputy County Commissioner David Rotich has cautioned Kenyans to be on the lookout for fake money that could be in circulation by politicians eyeing various seats during this campaign period.
So we are asking the members of the public to be on the lookout, and should they detect any fake money, they alert our law enforcement agencies.
I want to state clearly.
And a section of former councillors from Nairobi County has come out to defend Senator Johnston Sakaja, saying his degree saga has been politicized.
Honorable Sakaja is a well-renowned public servant, having served in the nation in various capacities, including the Senator of Nairobi and also as the nominated member of Parliament representing the youth.
We'll be keeping tabs on what is happening as far as Johnson Sakaja's degree saga is concerned. But now we cross over to matters health, where medical personnel are asking the government to channel more resources to primary health care that they say is critical in preventing the spread of diseases. They were speaking in Nairobi when the team comprising of medical doctors said primary health care is critical in averting pandemics. Ruth Wangoi has the details.
A clarion call has been made to the government to focus on technology in dealing with future health crises. Speaking during a workshop in Nairobi, doctors called for concerted efforts, saying the COVID-19 pandemic has drawn lessons for countries to invest more in research.
And some of the things that we encourage them to consider when formulating the policies that deal with pandemics in this country or health issues in general is one of them is strengthening community resilience against the effects of epidemics and pandemics through capacity building.
With COVID-19 disease having originated in Wuhan, China, China's zero-COVID strategy was catalyzed by homegrown solutions in arresting the pandemic.
We're more interested of homegrown solution, and in fact, in terms of importing anything from the West or from other Asian countries, it could be only to do with scientific research or technology or sharing our experiences, and particularly the technology transfer, because we cannot be reduced on a country where we only consume technology developed from other key, other parts of the world.
Look at statistics in the year 2020, we see that 31 out of 1,000 women in Kenya die because of preventive public health care issues, which could have been dealt with through the policies that.
At the same time, healthcare specialists argue this will ease the strain on healthcare systems for better outcomes in terms of deaths, hospitalization, and the economy.
Advise that we put a lot of focus on policies that strengthen our preventive policy mechanisms for preventing pandemics and indeed other diseases of public health concern.
The development comes as 467 people tested positive for COVID-19 disease from a sample size of 3,000.
On that note, we take a quick break. We'll be right back.
There's still time. Take this girl back to Green Hill before our father returns.
When father returns, I'll talk to him and break off the engagement.
And you're now in love with another woman from Green Hill? Throw her down the void hole.
Yes. Mercy, my king, my king.
You're just up right now.
That's not ordinary lightning. It's lightning that's intended to be used in trials. To not withstand it would mean death.
It seems being the prince isn't a blessing, but a misfortune.
After 18 months of intense construction, Africa's grandest expressway, the Nairobi Expressway, is finally open to the public, albeit on a pilot basis. This road is fast becoming a model of public-private partnership here in Africa. But what do we know yet about this expressway since it was opened to the public on the 14th of May 2022?
If Thika Road was version 2.0, then this is version 2.1. So we have gone to a higher level of delivering roads. And that's really will be the legacy that we should remember President Kenyatta, that he showed us that it's possible to do more by encompassing the capacity, the will, and the resources of broader team of stakeholders.
This week on Inside Government, we are talking about the Nairobi Expressway, and we are talking to the chairman of Kenya National Highways Authority, Engineer Wangai Ndirango. Watch the program right here on KBC Channel
1. Mse, huyo tumbo karai, sio huyo kwa pande hii. Unaona hiyo mkono wake bila natosana. Haisi kula unga ati kilo 2 ati asibe huyu.
Mse, nikikula mfuko 2 ni sako. Unaninunulianga.
Hajawahi muona.
Hiyo ndio kweli wa mambo. Nyelele ni ya nini unaleta hapa? Kama ucheniona
yako 40, yako 40 imefika.
Stop there.
Hii ni mnyang'anyani, hii ni mwabaki.
Huyu akisimamisha gari, huyu anakuja na anaingilia.
Hii ni muli bakwa, hii ni mshukui ya pesa.
Yaani wewe nyamaza, usingilie mambo ya watu wawili. Njoo kuolia. Wewe ni kazi gani unafanyanga?
Good morning. This is In the Headlines on KBC Channel 1, and I'm Regina Manyara. Now, the government has been asked to liberalize the Kenyan space as part of its economic development pillar. Stakeholders in the ongoing Space Expo in Nairobi said the sector is yet to be fully utilized owing to government security concerns. The Ministry of Defense Chief Administrative Secretary Peter Odoyo, however, said the government is willing to let off some of the space for investment, especially by the private sector.
Different stakeholders converged at the Sarit Center in Nairobi for this year's Space Expo and Conference.
Such data is analyzed, we'll be able to...
The forum focusing on the development of the country's space economy and utilization of space science and technologies, among others. The 3-day conference brought together policymakers, investors, and representatives of space agencies and international organizations. Stakeholders urged the Kenya Space Agency to let free of some of its space for private investment.
Fedha inakuja baadaye, lakini kitu ya muhimu sana ni ile akili na ujasiri wa wanasayansi wetu. Na nimeona hapa vijana wetu ambao wako kwa university tayari wameanza kujenga, kuanza kutengeneza vile vifaa ambayo vinaleta pamoja, tuwe satellite kama hii taifa moja ambayo itaenda juu, anga ya juu, na baadaye ndio itakuwa natuletea habari kila siku.
Speakers at the forum underscored the importance of using the space technology, especially in the agricultural sector, to provide early warning on disasters such as on pest infestation.
So all this technology will help us in terms of controlling the air, controlling the environment, and managing the traffic in Nairobi, which is a menace at the moment.
Tuta launch satellite yetu ya kwanza, Taifa 1, ambayo itakuwa natuletea habari direct kutoka angani, ili tujue kazi yetu, agriculture yetu inaendelea namna gani, misitu yetu inaendelea namna gani, hata upande wa security.
Ministry of Defence Chief Administrative Secretary Peter Odoyo, who spoke on behalf of Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa, said there were still opportunities open for investment in the Kenyan space.
65 out of 169 SDG targets, approximately 40% can benefit directly from the use of geolocation and Earth observation satellites. This means that Kenya can make significant progress in realization of SDGs if we leverage space technology and applications and make deliberate, appropriate investment in these satellites.
Kenya Space Authority has partnered with space agencies from Egypt, Ghana, Nigeria, Sudan, and Uganda to develop a 6U Earth observation satellite through the African Satellite Initiative.
Kenya gladly welcomes foreign investment in development of both horizontal and vertical infrastructure, including commercial launch facility to take advantage of geographical position along the equator, which leads to fuel cost savings for equatorial rocket launches.
Space to the Scales of Justice segment, where the chief investigator in the murder of Monica Kimani has cited Joey Irungu and Jackie Maribe as prime suspects. Maxwell Otieno, who was attached to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters at the time of the incident Wednesday, took to the stand to testify.
In his testimony, the investigating officer told the court that part of clothes that the first accused Joey Irungu was wearing on that day were destroyed through burning by the accused persons at a place close to their residence. Maxwell Otieno also told court that the second accused Jackie Maribe's vehicle was used by Joey to get very close access to the scene of crime, since he is said to have been at the deceased house on the day of the crime. The court granted the prosecution's application to move the court to the scenes of crime in Langata and Kilimani for a general view.
Of police was attacked at Kayole police station.
Meanwhile, one of the 5 police officers linked to the murder of a police impersonator, Wycliffe War, has been charged and will be detained at Nairobi remand until 22nd of June 2022 for further investigations. Appearing before Justice Grace Nzioka, James Ngige denied 1 count of murder. War was one of the suspects in the Nairobi West ATM 72 million shillings heist that took place in 2019.
The review of the public debt ceiling to 10 trillion shillings by the National Assembly a week ago continues to draw reactions from the political circles. While debating the motion, the legislators in both houses remained divided on the raise, putting lawmakers allied to the Azimio faction against those of Kenya Kwanza. KBC's Kamcha Mensa spoke to experts who say the next government has a very slim option in financing its budget and cannot avoid borrowing.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
As the debate on the proposed upward review of the public debt ceiling continues to rage, with political factions holding varied opinions, experts opine that the move may be justified. Professor XN Iraki, an economist, says the country has been running on budget deficits yearly and can only depend on borrowing or raising taxes for its citizens.
The government is torn between increasing taxes or borrowing from outside or internally. As a politician, you are better off borrowing money because you don't annoy a lot of voters. If you ask a person on the streets who is going to pay that debt, he will say somebody, but we don't know who it is. But when you have taxes, it impacts you immediately. That is why politicians prefer to borrow. They can even pass that to the next government.
Professor Iraki says that cutting down on wastage and corruption will be the best alternative for Kenya in managing debt and ensuring sustained development. But this has been unachievable for many political leaders.
It might mean losing some jobs. And who want to be the president and sack some government officials? It's very sensitive, whether at a county or national level. So in my opinion, the debate on debt is going to continue. I see the Senate passing the debt ceiling, supporting it.
While proposals have been fronted to have capital projects cut down, experts say that may be a challenge.
Some of those contracts have already been negotiated. They may be taking 5-10 years long term. So you cannot come and stop a project halfway when it's incomplete. In fact, it's even more expensive for the Kenyan mwananchi.
It's something we have to do out of necessity to save the budget for this year, to save the generations to come, to ensure that the new administration can have a budget that they can implement.
However much you try to cook GDP on NPV terms at 55%, we would still be below the 9 trillion debt that we have today, Honorable Speaker.
If we don't increase the debt to by 1 trillion, because we're only increasing by 1, we might fall short of repayments, and the economic impact of that is of a greater magnitude.
But when the issue of public debt ceiling will come up, Madam Speaker, I will still continue to vote no, because I think as a country we must be disciplined.
Experts, however, maintain that debt is inevitable but ought to be sustainable.
So what we need to start doing from now, from August 2022, to start looking at our projects more intensely and say these are the projects we can afford with the current money that we are raising from tax, so that we stop borrowing and focus on living within our means. As a politician, that's not easy because there are so many interests you have to satisfy.
Senate is yet to vote on the motion.
To the counties where the government, through the National Government Administration Officers and Guards structure, has begun an ambitious drive to mainstream culture of integrity and civic responsibility from the grassroots. Details of this in our County News Roundup.
Central Region.
Speaking at Embakasi APTC during the opening of a 5-week paramilitary training for 451 assistant county commissioners from across the country, Interior Principal Secretary Dr. Karanja Kibicho pointed out that bribery and favor-seeking were some of the factors affecting service delivery. The PS claimed the state will train all its administrators to lead a charge in resetting this mindset in the areas of jurisdiction.
Without any protocols, because you are there to serve him. Give service to our people, because he has committed to give certain services to these people during his tenure, and he can only do that through you, and that is why he has a direct link to you, even though he has us to be doing day-to-day activities.
Elsewhere, casual workers at the Isiolo County government have downed their tools over delayed payment of salaries. According to the workers, some have not been paid their salaries for more than 2 years now.
Serikali inajua wako na haki ya kutulipa sisi kama wafanyikazi mishahara. Ndiposa maana tunaambia kuti governor aweze kusikia ikilia leo. Tumeumia. Wengine wamefungiwa manyumba, watoto wengine wasomi wamekuwa chokola, na sisi ni wafanyikazi wa kaunti ya Isiolo.
Meanwhile, detectives in Kericho have arrested 2 swindlers who have allegedly been fleecing unsuspecting parents of learners in primary and secondary schools thousands of shillings through fraud schemes. According to Kericho East OCPD Caleb Wesa, the suspect's main mode of operation was to pretend to be employees of a particular school a parent has a child in.
They used during the operations. My appeal to the members of the public is that let them be vigilant. I've given them our numbers. Let them be vigilant and be able to report to us anytime they suspect that there are criminals in our midst.
Elsewhere, a family in Malindi has finally received the body of their 22-year-old kin who died under mysterious circumstances while working as a house help in the Middle East 3 months ago. The late Selina Kazungu's body was flown to Malindi in the evening, where it was received by family members at the Malindi International Airport. Selina is said to have died on March 17th, and the family has been fighting to have her body brought back home for burial.
To the business world, where Engineers Board of Kenya has accelerated the registration of professional engineers to clear the backlog of graduate engineers awaiting to be certified. EBK says it plans to increase the number of registered professional engineers in Kenya from the current 3,000 to 10,000 in the next 5 years. The board says it already has launched the Engineers Stamp to help in the identification and verification of engineering documents and work supervised by a professional engineer.
Kenya is facing a major shortage of professional engineers, with less than 3,000 professional engineers serving a population of more than 50 million people. The engineer per capita ratio in Kenya currently stands at 1:16,000, far exceeding UNESCO's recommendation of 1:250. The law requires graduate engineers to have a 3-year relevant experience to qualify as certified engineers.
We acknowledge the work done by the agencies already. We know the agencies are in partnership with a number of universities, and this collaborative framework will bring this together so that those resources can be put into use for better road improvement, maintenance, and redesign and construction.
The Engineers Board of Kenya says it has initiated a graduate engineers internship program and formulated an academic-based graduate engineering platform to help graduate engineers and lecturers acquire relevant professional trainings.
Out of this agency model, the board has registered first 13 engineers from Isuzu in one sitting. We therefore encourage other institutions to partner with the board to develop structured training for their graduate engineers.
Principal Secretary, State Department for Infrastructure, Professor Paul Maringa, has urged EBK to crack the whip on quacks who have been blamed for the rising number of buildings that have collapsed in the country.
90% of the buildings that are collapsing are actually not designed by engineers. They're designed by what we call halfway engineers, who in the past have been referred to as quacks. We've accepted that is the terminology we're not going to use, because those designers, even though they're not fully trained, are actually Kenyan technicians and below who desire to be engineers. And in our discussions today, we've agreed universities and other training institutions of higher learning are going to open themselves up to upgrade those people, so they stop giving us substandard services and advice.
EBK says it has already rolled out the Engineers Stamp to help in the identification and verification of engineering documents and work supervised by a professional engineer. The PS spoke during the ongoing Engineering Partnerships Convention in Mombasa that brings together more than 1,500 engineers. Juni Karisa Mbele from Mombasa County.
A couple of you who are streaming live. We want to have one of our viewers who's streaming live from Rwanda, who has actually acknowledged that the CS there taught him matters engineering. Thank you very much. Remember, we are streaming on our various platforms, including YouTube channel there, KBC Channel 1 Live. Give us your feedback, include your name and where you're watching this particular show from. So 60 there, thank you for watching KBC Channel 1 from Rwanda. Now we still speak matters business, where importers have 5 months to register their intellectual rights on the newly launched Anti-Counterfeit Authority IP recordation system. The IPR database will capture trademarks, copyrights, trade names, as well as other protected intellectual property rights for all goods to be imported into the country. The move is aimed at curbing the inflow of counterfeit products into the country. According to Kenya's anti-counterfeit agency, illicit trade denies the taxman up to 153.1 billion shillings annually, of which counterfeiting activities alone rob the taxman between 85 billion and 100 billion shillings. To curb this, the Anti-Counterfeit Authority has established an online database where importers are supposed to register their products.
This technology will be a game changer in the war against counterfeits, which will involve creation of intellectual property rights database that will be used by officers at border points so that they are easily able to flag counterfeits before entering into the market.
The intellectual property rights recordation refers to the process of collecting from IPR owners information regarding their registered intellectual rights like trademarks, copyrights, trade names, or any other protected intellectual property right, irrespective of their place of registration, for all goods to be imported into Kenya.
Counterfeited products have serious consequences, would have serious consequences for this country. And therefore, look at it from the economic point of view, look at it from the security point of view, look at it from the social point of view, look at it across. And then you will see, even culturally, you see that we have an elephant in the house, an elephant that we must eliminate, an elephant that we must remove.
Under the Anti-Counterfeit Act, it is an offence to import goods that have not been recorded with ACA. Speaking during the World Counterfeit Day, Deputy Head of Public Service and Coordinator of the multi-agency team tackling illicit trade, Wanyama Musiembo, urged importers to declare their intellectual property rights for goods being imported into Kenya to deter the importation of counterfeit goods. Importers have 5 months till January 2023 to register their intellectual rights on the newly launched Anti-Counterfeit Authority IP recordation system, after which IPR agents shall transact.
Anything that is raw materials are not covered under the IPR recordation regulations.
Raw materials, other industrial inputs and used goods shall be exempted from the payment process, as well as transit and transshipment goods. An importer shall, however, be required to submit information supporting manufacturing, assembly or value addition in the case of raw materials and other industrial inputs. Now, on the 14th, that happened to be 2 days ago, EPRA reviewed its fuel prices upwards by a cool 9 shillings. And Kenyans have been complaining and crying, decrying that particular move owing to the high cost of living. So if that is not enough, now government plans to start gradually removing the fuel subsidy, which will further push up the price of petroleum products and the cost of living. National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani says the subsidy has become inefficient in softening commodity prices, despite government spending 100 billion shillings on it in the last 2 financial years.
The rising cost of fuel and an increase in basic commodities and services has made lives of Kenyans unbearable as they struggle to make ends meet. On Tuesday, fuel prices hit a new high despite the government sinking in billions of shillings to subsidize prices. In a statement, National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani says the fuel subsidy program might not be sufficient in the near future. He says the subsidy has become inefficient in softening the prices adding that there will be gradual adjustment in domestic fuel prices in order to progressively eliminate the fuel subsidy from the next financial year starting July. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, adjusted the pump prices upward by 9 shillings per litre of fuel, sparking an outcry from members of the public and senators.
Kenyans are expecting us to come here and fight for them to lower their cost of living. If the prices of petroleum products are going up on a daily basis, Madam Speaker, and our salaries are not going up, and the salaries of the Mamamboga are not going up, how else are we going to expect to live in a good country?
What Kenyans are seeing in terms of prices going up of fuel, it looks like the problem is the Ministry of Energy. It looks like the problem with the Ministry of National Oil Corporation, Madam Speaker. And I hope the necessary agencies and institutions are working so that no one can benefit at the pain of Kenyans, Madam Speaker.
We rely on fuel for very many issues, and there's need to really address this issue so that we bring down the cost of living, because if fuel goes high, it means that when it comes to transport, it will go high. Everything else will go high.
Madam Speaker, that old lady in the slum, that old lady in the village cannot even afford kerosene, and half of the Kenyan population depend on kerosene.
Without the subsidy, a litre of super petrol would have increased by 25 shillings, diesel by 48 shillings, while kerosene would have gone up by 42 shillings. But when you compare the fuel prices with countries such as Uganda, South Africa, Zambia and Rwanda, the cost of fuel in Kenya is significantly lower. Globally, fuel is most expensive in Hong Kong, followed by Netherlands and Norway. Fuel is cheapest in countries like Venezuela, Libya, Iran, Syria, Algeria and Angola, mainly due to heavy government subsidies.
You and I need to brace for tougher times ahead. Now to the sporting arena, where the national women's volleyball team, Malkia Strikers, risk being banned by the International Volleyball Federation if they miss the World Championship slated for September and October this year. The Kenya Volleyball Federation has threatened to withdraw the team from the global competition if they fail to get the funding from the relevant authorities. The team requires a total of 46 million shillings for tickets, accommodations and players' allowances.
Malkia Strikers' plans to train in Brazil and Serbia may flop after failing to secure funding from relevant authorities. Head coach Paul Bitok said they require a total of 46 million shillings to cater for their air tickets, accommodation and players' allowances.
Despite of only training, we'll be having 4 friendly matches with the top 4 clubs in Brazil. So you can imagine, we went to Olympics last time. We were about to win Japan and South Korea without any international friendly matches.
He said he delayed announcing the team for the trip due to uncertainty surrounding it. His words were echoed by KVF Vice Chairman Charles Nyaberi, who decried that they may be forced to withdraw the team from the World Championships unless the Ministry of Sports intervenes, a move he said will greatly affect them as they risk being fined and getting a ban from all international events.
The Ministry and the government worked with us to bring us this far to qualify. So we are just pleading. It's just one bit of. And then another thing is that our world body, the FIVB, this is the first time that we're getting this volleyball empowerment project. It's a benefit. It's a handout that we're getting from the world body.
Nyaberi called on the sports CS to intervene and ensure the girls proceed for the training sponsored by the International Volleyball Federation. Malkia Strikers, under the tutelage of 4 Brazilian coaches, have been in non-residential training for the past 3 weeks in preparation for the trip, and it was expected to depart this Saturday for Brazil.
I hope that the team gets the relevant funding to participate in that global feat. Now, Malindi won the inaugural edition of the Coastal Beach Soccer Tournament after beating neighbors Mombasa 3-2 through a penalty shootout at the Butwani waterfront in Malindi, Kilifi County. The game, which ended in a 2-2 or rather 2 draw during the regulation time, was organized by the Football Kenya Federation Transition Committee in a bid to raise standards of the game in the coastal region.
The event organizer Rachel Kamweru lauded Cabinet Secretary for Sports Dr. Amina Mohamed for facilitating the tournament held at the Butwani waterfront in Malindi. Malindi team captain Hudhaifa Mchula urged local stakeholders of the sports to initiate the league that would provide the players a platform to nurture their talents. In the girls category, Malindi girls won 1-0 on penalties after a 4-4 draw against Progressive FC, who mounted a comeback from 3 goals down to equalize. A total of 10 teams from Kilifi, Lamu, Kwale, Mombasa and Tana River counties took part in the tournament, with winners taking home medals and cash prizes. The Confederation of African Football (CAF) last year unveiled the headquarters of the African Beach Soccer Union in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory.
Now, the upcoming World Cup in Qatar saw Costa Rica become the last country to actually qualify for that particular feat, and this is after scoring 1 goal against New Zealand. Further details are available on our website, including what is happening in the business world and matters of politics, with just 53 days to the August 9th polls. So in case you missed our bulletin, well, you can have a recap from our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. We take a short break. We'll be right back with what has been captured by various scribes in the papers in not too long.
There's still time. Take this girl back to Green Hill before our father returns.
When father returns, I'll talk to him and break off the engagement. And you're now in love with another woman from Green Hill? Throw her down the void hole. Yes.
Show some mercy. My king! My king!
You're just up right now.
That's not ordinary lightning. It's lightning that's intended to be used in trials. To not withstand it would mean death.
It seems being the prince isn't a blessing, but a misfortune.
Hujui kama kile chumba ni changu mimi na mume wangu?
Asa ukatie simu wewe ni nani? Wewe ni rais. I don't want to talk to you, Kate. That's why.
Kwa kifupi, Maya anifanya kama ulimi mimi nazungukwa na meno. Haya.
Hivi ni mtabia nini? Unapoelezea masaibu ama vitisho vya kiasi, wadhani unisaidie.
Sasa wewe lala naye. Ukitaka mtie hata kwa pani. Lakini kwenye kampuni dada, unitoe.
If you're tuning in, I'm Regina Manyara, and you're just in time for the news headlines right here on KBC Channel 1. We're sampling the various dailies that we have in studio, and I have a copy of the Standard, and we're going to start from the back to the front. Now, matters of sports have not taken so much space, or rather precedence, in this particular issue as far as the back page is concerned, with the lead story being football. Harambee Stars defender Joseph Okung rises from the ashes of depression and is now a transfer target of Arsenal and other European clubs. Well, I'm not going to talk about Arsenal, but yes, good to go there, Joseph Okumu. It's fully fleshed out in this particular daily. We've been talking about the high cost of living, and this has also captured the scribe this morning, with senators now decrying the rising fuel prices. They want extra 15 billion collected by KRA to cushion Kenyans against high cost. And when this proposal comes through, I'm imagining the taxman does not generate its own money, and if this the solution is 15 billion shillings, then it means more taxation to the Kenyans. And if I look at and borrow heavily from what one of our analysts and economist, David Kingo, or CPA David Kingo, said while we were doing the budget analysis, he said that there are very few people within the tax bracket who are carrying the huge burden of a majority who are not paying taxes. So if senators are proposing that the taxman collects an extra 15 billion shillings to cushion Kenyans against high cost, isn't it speaking from one mouth to the other? Anyway, we'll wait and see. Given that KRA surpassed its revenue targets for the first quarter of the financial year to 14.9 billion, after collecting 476 billion between July and September last year against a target of 461.73 billion. But I tend to think this target that had been laid there, remember we were just trying, it was about recovery post-COVID-19. And this must have been, some of the industries that we saw, the hospitality industry taking a harsh beating when it came to matters of COVID and rising in 2021. Maybe that was the issue. Some of the businesses had closed shop, while others are still yet to get back on their feet. There was relative better activity in as far as matters of economy are concerned in 2021 if you compare it to 2020. So that is what is happening there, with the lawmakers saying the extra amount collected by KRA should be utilized to shield Kenyans from the rising cost of living. So how is the question? How would these monies be used to shield you and I from the high cost of living? That's the top story in as far as this particular issue of the Daily Nation is concerned. Let me take you to the front, and the front is about matters politics, with 53 days to go to the August polls, and all eyes are trained on Johnson Sakaja. Why? The degree saga. Now, the Scribe Ops has gone with this particular title, Fall of Sakaja. And the flew, in bold, yeah? And we see a caricature of the senator, the embattled senator there, sleeping on some banana peel. Well, it's satire. Caricatures are usually just a depiction, similar depiction, maybe satirical, ironical, and such, but it's for the eye as well as the mind to relate. Now, Nairobi Super Senator is caught in a race against time over the validity of his Ugandan university degree that could also lock him out of the city governorship race. 2 days of high drama culminated yesterday in the revocation of his papers by the Commission for University Education and his lengthy tirade against President Kenyatta, whom he accused of personally supervising his fall. The drama continued last evening as the tribunal hearing case against him refused to admit the new letter from the Commission for University Education. What way for Sakaja? Now that has been captured as a top story in this particular issue, being the 16th of June 2022. And above there, there are various leaders whose mugshots appear there. Some are familiar, So birds of a feather, will they pass the degree test? Plus, why is judiciary a weak link? That has been fleshed out on page 12 and 13. But to give you a quick summary of those who are, in a dicey situation in regard to the academic qualification, we have Wavinya Ndeti there, Granton Samboja there, Mythical Ntuli, Cleophas Malala, all there appearing on the back shot at the front, at the very top part of this particular paper. And talking about politics, Wajakoya also finds himself on the front page, and this is somewhat wanting to know the other side of this man who is taking, or rather shaking, the political game, if you like. So how the Roots master is changing the political game, even as he's accused of bad messaging. That's a story we're going to be highlighting for you as we proceed with in the headlines. Then NTSA is in court on car theft and logbook frames. In a court filing, the National Transport and Safety Authority is accused of aiding an insurance agent fraudulently acquire a client's car. We've heard these stories before, and this one is before the courts. Which direction it will take, I'm sure it's going to set a precedence going forward in regard to this issue of colluding with unscrupulous insurers there to take away clients' vehicles and such in recommends. Matters of national debt, Kenya defaults on 5 billion Aurora and Kimere loans, unable to meet international debt obligations. The government piles on the interest and penalties and shows a new report by the Auditor General. This has been quite a dicey situation. Not only has it been political, but also now it has financial implication. This particular project there that was supposed to, increase the supply of the much needed commodity, and that is water. So in general, that's the front page of the Daily Nation. Mike?
Yes, and on the front page of the Star, the main question is rogue former cop behind robberies in upscale Nairobi, as we have heard over the past week. Actually, over the past weeks, there have been a series of robberies that have been happening, especially in Rongai. So detectives from the Special Service Unit told the Star that they believe a former police officer allegedly led the attackers in Rongai. The gang began to trail the lady driving home when the house help opened the door, and they forced their way in. Most on that later on. Still on the front page of the Star. Senators are up in arms over skyrocketing fuel prices. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority increased the pump prices of petrol, diesel and kerosene by 9 shillings per litre. The increase pushed the cost of super and diesel to 159.12 shillings and 140 shillings respectively. And kerosene prices also went up by a similar margin and will now retail at 127 shillings. That's on fuel prices. We're still going to see some more of that on the next paper, which is The Standard. The main top story on The Standard is the 1 million votes that could threaten the poll. With less than 2 months to the elections, IEBC bosses are scratching their heads over the transmission of nearly 1 million votes in some 1,200 polling stations that lack network coverage, as Commission Chair Wafula Chebukati and Communications Authority Chief Ezra Chiloba engage in political ping-pong over who should take responsibility. Still on the front page is Johnson Sakaja. He's been the topic of discussion over the past few days. The Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja usually does not hide much about his life, the Standard reports, yet public knowledge gleaned from his past statements. Questions have cropped up now that threaten to collapse his Nairobi governor bid. Still on the front page of the Standard, matters fuel. The Treasury is now mulling getting rid of the fuel subsidy, with Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani arguing that it is benefiting the rich at the expense of the poor. The subsidies are inefficient and also lead to misallocation of resources and crowding out of public spending on productive sectors, said Mr. Yatani. I think it's going to be rough roads ahead for motorists We're going to report on that later on. There's an interesting story here on the Standard, the front page of the Standard. A father and son enrolled for lower primary school. So as people are talking about degrees, people are trying to get into primary school. So the 30-year-old man and his son enrolled at primary school. South Sudanese Isaac Chol had come to school with his son John Majuk. The headmaster Nicholas Kosgei assumed that the father was there to egg his son on. But with the help of a translator, the father of three who came into the country 2 months ago said that he wanted to travel the academic journey alongside his firstborn son. That's an interesting story. What do you think about that, Regina?
Well, I want to remain politically correct. So I will opt to just give a skim through the People Daily. Then we'll come back to that response, right?
Yeah.
When we forget, when the viewers forgotten the question asked, yeah? So the front page of the People Daily, it's all about politics. Let's start off with what happened yesterday during the Azimio One Kenya campaigns that were held in Kitui yesterday, where Azimio flag bearer, none other than Raila Odinga, announced that Governor Charity Ngilu will not be defending her seat, but will serve in government if he takes up office come August 9th. And he consequently went and endorsed Julius Malombe for that particular seat there. So Charity Ngilu takes a back seat, and it is Julius Malombe who was, or rather gets the support from Raila Odinga. Now, state budget cuts hit Ruto now are pushed to a corner. Deputy President's campaign suffers setback as reduced allocation to his office forces him to foot his own bills. That is captured here in this particular daily. You can get to read further. Now, talking about a sigh of relief, it has all eyes have been focused on Johnson Sakaja's gubernatorial bid for Nairobi County there. There's some who are breathing a sigh of relief, and this is Irongo Kangata, where the committee found that Kangata's running mate, Stephen Boro, was a duly registered candidate. So they're out of the woods in as far as Kangata and his running mate are concerned. On the other hand, Polycarp Igathe now can also focus on his campaigns after the tribunal dismissed petitions challenging their eligibility to vie. However, it's a tough road for Sonko and Sakaja. Let's continue skimming through. Now, Deputy President William Ruto has condemned the closure of Keroshe, and he says that he reads malice in the farm, and taxman Aria Wars says the livelihood of people at risk. Well, that's what they have to say in regard to the closure of Keroshe. Keroshe has been making actually headlines for somewhat controversial issues there, especially where in regard to debts owed, or rather taxes owed to the taxman. Looking at the back page of this particular daily, Matter Sports, back due to public demand. Who are we talking about? We are talking about Olympics champ Jepchirchir was finally included in the marathon team for the World Championship. Back by demand, that's nice. So the Athletics Kenya Senior Vice President Paul Mutwi yesterday told this particular paper that the association had opted to include her to the team that was previously named on April 7th when she was initially omitted, but insisted that the squad would be led by defending champion Ruth Chepngetich. You can get further details regard to what has been making headlines in the sporting arena on our website. Maybe you have a conclusion, Mike?
It's just interesting to see, we're discussing education, especially over the past few days. There's another story here on the Standard. It reads, having a degree requirement for leadership must not be dismissed. That's a statement by the IABC. Okay, so this is following this part of rejections by the IABC for some presidential and governor candidates for lacking or having doubtful university qualifications. So they're saying, okay, the argument from some Kenyans is that leadership is inborn and has nothing to do with formal education, especially the certificate type, but the IABC is saying do not diminish the degree. So it's an interesting conversation to have.
What do you think? What's your opinion?
My opinion is the degree, I think, you know, the critical thinking part, that's where you're going to nurture your critical thinking using that degree or diploma. So having that qualification is essential.
Well,
that's my 2 cents on that.
Because at the end of the day, look at it this way. If we all now went and said, you know what, I do not need my papers to be a certified journalist. I do not need my papers to be a certified accountant. Well, to some level of degree, because when you talk about leadership, it's not necessarily, it's not a profession. Actually, it's supposed to be servant leadership. Leaders are called to serve. It's only in Africa where, you know, politicians, leaders become elites, you know, and they do not embrace, very few embrace servant leadership. But what is the role of, let's say, a member of parliament? Members of parliament fall under the category of legislators. So these are people who are supposed to have some acumen, you know, to know exactly policy, you know, make the laws that govern the land. So you need to have some level of exposure, you know, and education to understand what happens therein. You cannot have a blonde moment, you know.
You cannot afford to do that, exactly.
Yes, and also I think some positions afford you, like some exposure when it comes to education, affords you a bird's eye view as a leader. So when we're here trying to find out, oh, are you qualified, do you have it? And even the Constitution did not err. You know, we had an opportunity to change the Constitution in 2010, and we did so. We under a new dispensation. It did not make an error because we wanted leaders who can articulate the constituents' needs, can come up with laws that, you know, can stand the test of time.
And understand the laws.
Yes, and understand and even debate and, you know, even how to spend that money. So it's good to have an education background, qualified. You need to be qualified. I mean, we all have to qualify to be in professions we're in, you know?
You're given
so if we treat leadership as a profession, then there has to be some degree of prerequisite when it comes to your academic qualifications, and not just say that leaders are born or leaders are chosen by God. When it comes to the nitty-gritty details, I think we need someone who understands.
Actually, the scary part is when leadership becomes a popularity contest and not, you know, your qualifications or your understanding of the laws and policies becomes scary.
Yeah, because I think if you're talking about the governor is the one who, the governor position affords you, you know, like a bird's view when it comes to the county. So how are these monies spent? In as much as you are going to have technocrats working around you, or rather ensuring that this you deliver what you promised to the people, you need to understand. You need to understand, you know, when you look at a balance sheet, you need to know is this is what is coming in terms of revenue, this is what is going out, these are projects we're running. You cannot afford to have a blonde moment. That's my take home. And also it's encouraging. It's also encouraging for people out here, especially young people who have been decrying, you know, unemployment, yet they have papers. Imagine how demoralizing it would be if we all said, you know what, leaders do not need academic qualifications per se. What does that mean? Where does that leave this person who is a graduate, who is still tamarking, just wanting to have? It's quite demoralizing, even for those people who are in the teaching fraternity, you know, lecturers and all. You know, at least we look at that art, or rather
from
that
perspective,
career, that they've built, they've molded people, that your qualification is worth something, you know. But then how do you forget? I know while we were doing our undergrad, there are some who deferred their classes. Mike, I don't know if you happen to be you defer for some time for one reason or another. And things happen. Life happens. And you somewhat never get back to finishing your education.
That's an interesting situation.
And I have seen memes going around. Have you seen some?
I have seen some.
People are retrieving their graduation photos.
Exactly.
And saying, just in case, you guys,
I was having a joke about this with my cousin who's an undergrad. I was telling him, if you see a lecturer in the hallway, take a photo.
Oh, please.
If you're, at the notice board, take a photo. Have proof that you were there studying for something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this Kenyans have a tendency of picking up something, such a serious issue that could actually mean that the person in question, and we're talking about Johnson Sakaja's situation, if this does not fall through for him, he will be missing out come the August 9th elections on account of failing to have the requisite documents to show that he's qualified to actually run for that office. So this is not just child's play. This is a serious issue. And Kenyans pick it up, come up with memes, making a joke out of it. Well, let's say the internet is ungoverned and unregulated, and there's so much going on. Remember, this is live, and we welcome your feedback in regard to what we have highlighted for you in as far as news that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. Thank you for everyone who has been streaming. We're not done and dusted. We're speaking matters entertainment in not too long, and some of the quick updates that we have in as far as matters politics is that we're going to be keeping tabs on the Azimio la Umoja campaign trail, as well as the Kenya Kwanza campaigns in the course of the day. And also we are going to be having an energy summit in the country to just try and see where we are, and especially matters of renewable energy. I'm Regina Manyara. I leave you in the capable hands of my colleague Mike there to take you through matters entertainment. As we say it here, Thursday is a new Friday. Enjoy your viewing.
Abantu ba Minto Buyamore, stesheni inayoipenda Minto FM inakualika ujumuike nasi katika bonge la roadshow itakayofanyika kwenye kaunti ya Nyamira siku ya Alhamisi tarehe 16 Juni. Msafara wa Minto FM utapitia Kijauri, Nyansiongo, Manga, Keroka, Gesima, Bosoveti, Konate, Dangenyo, Nyamira na Miruka. Nayo tarehe 17 tutatembelea maeneo ya Ikonge, Ekerenyu, Magwangwa, Magombo, Tombe, Kemera, Omogonchoro, Getare, Jogo na kumalizia mjini Kisii. Kutakuwa na vichekesho, burudani na zawadi kemkem za kushindaniwa. Pia utakutana na kikosi kizima cha watangazaji unaowaenzi.
Minto FM yenye karuga y'umuguzi.
You think you are so smart, Odette? Well, you are not going to get away with this.
Actually, I just came here to leave my things.
Oh, well, that's not a problem. I'll cancel the reservation so I can go with you.
No, I can't take you with me. I'm sorry.
Mr. and Mrs. Paulina Morat and Camilo Fonseca. He's officially their child, and his name is now Mauricio Fonseca Morat.
He's mine, and I've gone through a lot just for him. So you are not going to spoil any of my plans. So I want you to stay away from him. Deceive me! You fooled me! Hey, it was because he wanted to be with my brother!
After 18 months of intense construction, Africa's grandest expressway, the Nairobi Expressway, is finally open to the public, albeit on a pilot basis. This road is fast becoming a model of public-private partnership here in Africa. But what do we know yet about this expressway since it was opened to the public on the 14th of May 2022.
If Thika Road was version 2.0, then this is version 2.1. So we have gone to a higher level of delivering roads. And that's really will be the legacy that which we remember President Kenyatta, that he showed us that it's possible to do more by encompassing the capacity, the will, and the resources of broader team of stakeholders.
This week on Inside Government, we are talking about the Nairobi Expressway, and we are talking to the chairman of Kenya National Highways Authority, Engineer Wangai Ndirango. Watch the program right here on KBC Channel 1.
Serikali ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta imewekeza vilivyo katika kuimarisha miundombinu nchini.
Without infrastructure, there is no way of finding new possibilities. And that is why we made it one of our big push investments.
Reli ya kisasa.
Usafiri ulikuwa, basi zilikuwa, shuttle zilikuwa, lakini wakati train ilipoanza safari zake kutokea Voi, imekuwa ni rahisi kwa sababu iko na masaa.
Viwanja vya ndege.
Mama kama mimi ya kijiji napanda ndege kwa haraka. Serikali imerahisisha kazi sana.
Na bandari.
Basi zimeongezwa, gate zimekuwa nyingi. Msongamano wa malori mlangoni kuingia saa hii umeisha.
Cinemas and Theatre. Brought to you by the Kenya Film Commission. Film Kenya, Capture Africa.
The European Union Special Representative to the Horn of Africa, Ms. Schneider.
The film Adisa follows Suzanne, a chief diplomat and representative of the European Union, who visits a remote village on the Somalia border that was a target of terror attack.
Al-Shabaab is a very well-paying employer, and that is why your visit today is so important.
While the bereaved put all hope in her, the date and promises made to Suzanne appear just a routine. But after a fatal accident caused by her presence, she's forced to leave her comfort zone and fight against the established patterns of behavior in Europe.
Adisa is a human interest story. It's based on actual events that happened. These events happened in Cameroon in 2016 with the then American ambassador to the UN. Her convoy was in an accident and it hit a child, an African child in Cameroon, and the child died. And Adisa tells this story from that perspective. It is actually a tragedy. It's not a comedy. It's something that's supposed to, at the end of it, you're supposed to be like, left maybe with tears in your eyes.
Get back in the car!
Filmed in the breathtaking cities and countryside of Kenya, Adisa by Film Crew in Africa was filmed and directed by Simon Denda and features Victoria Meyer, who plays Suzanne, Jacqueline Wanjiko, who plays Zola, Gots Otto, who plays Commander, and Robert Agengo, who plays father to Adisa, among others.
You've killed my son!
In Kenya, we did a very vigorous audition. We did a casting call to many, and we narrowed it down to a couple of ladies, especially the one who's playing the local role by a lady called Jackie Kaboy. We narrowed the filming days to about 6 days, and on the 7th day we did what we call GVs.
Boss, nini imefanyika? The film has bagged various awards, including the Silver Student Academy Award in 2021.
This has been well received worldwide. All the many countries that Adisa has been able to do a tour. We've done a couple of film festivals, both locally and in abroad. And we are fortunate enough to have about 10 awards.
Sir, and action.
I believe we are at the right space, and we are in the right time, whereby you can see a lot of local good productions are happening. Adisa being one of them. I think it's a high time that our audience continue appreciating what we are churning out, and whenever we have films and we call upon our local audience to come to the theaters and watch, they should be able to believe in us that we are bringing out the best.
Imagine the pain of losing a child, the grief of a family. What can possibly heal the pain?
Adisa being a short film, we've been arranging a series of screenings. So what I can say to the people who are interested and to our followers to check out this information on our IG page. Our handle is @making_of_Adisa. We'll be able to be releasing new dates on when and where you can catch Adisa.
Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and the Theatre.
Cinemas and Theatre. Brought to you by the Kenya Film Commission. Film Kenya, Capture Africa.
You is someone who's very musically inclined. Her new EP is out now. I'm talking about Lynn Aswani.
Hi.
Karibu.
Asante.
Let's talk about your music career. You started officially in 2016.
Yes.
You joined a band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Shade Mziki. Why didn't it work out? Why do you think so?
I guess we didn't have like a proper structure for the long term. So it was something that we sort of did just to keep us busy after high school. Yeah.
You were 6 guys, yeah?
Yeah.
Are you still in touch?
Yeah, we're still in touch. Yeah.
Any collabos within the EP?
No,
for the next album?
No, maybe for the next album.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What did they say? Did you share with them the music?
Yeah.
What did they say? Because, I think you're someone totally different from 2016 and now in 2022. So
they're so
did they
excited.
acknowledge the growth?
Yeah. They're so excited. They're happy about the lyricism in the project and just the diversity when it comes to the genres. Yeah.
Okay, now take me back to when you first fell in love with music.
So I fell in love with music when I was 4 years old. So I come from a background where my mom is a singer and my dad is a poet. So it probably was inborn, but I discovered it at that tender age, and I was, trying to nurture it in school, in church. And
who was encouraging you more, mom or dad?
Both. Both, yeah.
Did you, poetry.
Yeah.
So are you more of a lyricist? Would you call yourself a lyricist? Did you try both on you?
To some extent, I'd say I'm a lyricist. Yeah, because I think I write. I like my writing depicts some sort of weight. Yeah.
Because when I was listening to the EP, there's a song, Sita Chezwa.
Yeah.
There's a way you wrote it that really, connected.
Yeah.
First of all, let's talk about that song specifically, because I feel like a lot of people are going to connect with that song, especially the young people.
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind when you were writing that song?
So actually wrote it in 2020 when COVID had just come to Kenya, and in uni we had closed schools, people went back to their homes, so it was that period where relationships were suffering. And situationships. So there's a lot of character development with the whole long distance happening between people. So I was just trying to communicate the challenges that people were facing and just affirming that, hey, I will never ever go through character development. Yeah.
Let me tell you, COVID by the way, it depends on maneno, especially with these online relationships.
Yeah.
Okay, now in 2019, was it, when you went to Sauti Academy?
Yes.
Tell me about that experience. You've been in love with music since you were 4 years old.
Yeah.
You know, your dad is a poet, your mom is a singer, but then there's this new dimension of music where you have to do something, you know, in a structured manner.
Yeah.
So how was that experience, being taught music?
It was difficult because I'm not the person who likes following structure.
No
So,
creative is.
Yeah. So especially with my songwriting classes, it was a challenge because now it's like, why do I have to follow the norm? Yet my creativity is telling me to do something a bit different.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the experience because I got to learn, and just being surrounded by other artists, it sort of brings out those creative juices that you didn't think were there. Yeah.
That's quite tricky because ukiangalia producer kama Timbaland and Pharrell, you know, the top tier producers,
Yeah.
they come and tell you, be as creative as you want to be.
Yeah.
Don't do something that's already on the radio. But then the songwriter, the song teacher is telling you,
follow structure.
A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Did you find a conflict there?
At first, yes. But I guess when my tutor understood me, it wasn't a problem because he was like, oh, it works, so just do what works for you, because he was really supportive in terms of me tapping into my creativity after he understood how I like doing my things. Yeah.
Clearly you have no jitters because there was also an event that it was actually your first event. Let's talk about that at the Michael Joseph Center.
Yes.
An hour set, you know. For instance, if I ask an artist like Trio Mio, I know his first set was like 5 minutes with his first song. You had your own event.
Yeah.
It had a name.
Yes, Sunrise with the Swani.
Sunrise with the Swani.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. What went through your mind as you were, you know, preparing, not even during the event?
So as I was preparing, I wanted to showcase my art because in the past I was used to like doing covers. So I wanted to introduce my audience to like now my songs in a live band type of setting. Yeah.
How did it go?
It went really, really well. Really, really successful. Like, it blew my mind to see the kind of support and the numbers that we had during that event, considering I'm new to the game.
This is in 2020?
Yes, 2020.
Is it right before COVID?
Yeah, we were those people who, you know, before the announcement was made, we were those people, like that Friday, we had the event, then COVID came to Kenya like the next week. Yeah.
At least ukaweza kupenya hapo.
Yeah.
So what was the reception like, you know, with the new fans?
It was really, really, really great to a point that I would even walk on the road and some people would be like, I was in your event. It was so good. I loved the live music type of feel, and it was just amazing seeing even kids come with their folks and they blend well with my music. It was just amazing, and also seeing even an older generation showing up for that was really amazing.
It's interesting that you mentioned generation because there's always this conversation about content with young people.
Yeah.
And, you know, the other demographic are saying new music, especially in Kenya, is just, you know, directed to the youth. Do you agree?
No. I just think people are not tapping into, you know, the music that is out there because the diversity is there. It is there. Yeah.
Then how come, you know, they're not branching through? I've always wondered that, and as a creative yourself and a singer-songwriter, you're the best person to answer that.
Maybe it's about positioning, matters about positioning, I'm not too sure, but I feel people should be open-minded when it comes to reception of music, and just try to understand like the creativity side of it without coming in with like sort of a bias or stereotype that this music is not gonna work for me. Yeah.
Now let's talk about Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Did they listen to the EP?
Yes. Yeah.
What did they say?
They're happy about it. Yeah.
Any mixed feelings about, you know, because there's a mixture of secular and interestingly enough, there's also a song about an airplane.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Let's talk about that song about an airplane, because the way you structured it, it's really creative. At first listen, you might think you're talking about a significant other.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's actually an airplane.
Yeah.
So what's with the airplanes and why did you have to?
So I was those kids who were nerds. So in my science class in primary, I was so excited when we were learning about clouds. So when I got to Sauti Academy and we were given a task, one of my first tasks actually in my songwriting class, to write a song, I was just like, you know what, let me express this love I have for clouds and aeroplanes. And that's how that song came to be.
Do people connect the dots when they listen?
No. I have to give them like some background, yeah.
To what the song is actually about.
Yeah.
Have you done the same things with the rest of the tracks on the EP?
Not really. Not really, yeah.
I feel like there's a different answer there.
No, I don't think there's any that is sort of talking about an object, like how Ndia Kutanda came out. Yeah.
It's so interesting to see the creative process of talking about one thing, but referring to another. Is that your dad's side coming through with the poetry?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, there was Sauti Academy. What about him? What were the pointers he gave you in terms of songwriting and structures?
I don't think he gave me pointers as far as I can remember, but he was always just supportive, like, do what works best for you. Yeah.
What about mom? Any advice in terms, from a singer's perspective?
Yeah. Sometimes, she tells me, do your voice like this. This would work better like this. Yeah. Then it just helps. Yeah.
It's very interesting because Babu Ukiangala, a lot of the singers that we have are not actually singers.
Oh.
Do you agree?
Hey, you're putting me on the spot. I'd say maybe 95% are singers. The
95. I think you're being a bit too generous.
Okay, what do you think?
What I think is there's a lot of people who have a lot of talent, and like you said, are not coming through.
Okay. Okay.
But now in terms of singing capability, do you feel like people should go through that process that you went to in 2019 when you went to Sauti Academy? Do you feel like that's important for an artist?
Yeah, it is. I think it's important. It sort of grounds you and puts you in a position to even find your own sound. Because you might be in a space where you think you found your sound, but when you start delving deeper into your creativity, you realize this is actually not my sound. This is not how I want to write. Or even maybe you come to figure that singing is not actually for you. Maybe you should be an instrumentalist or a producer, something like that. Yeah.
You're still in denial. Okay, now let's do this. USIU, International Relations.
Yeah.
Background, a minor in French, yeah?
Yeah, in the minor in French.
Can you teach me some French? I don't know French.
Bonjour is a greeting.
Everyone knows bonjour.
Yeah. Then, okay, let me go to the corporate side, how we tell people, I hope you're doing well. So you'll say, j'espère que vous allez bien. J'espère que vous allez bien.
Okay.
I lost you.
You lost me somewhere there. And now, international relations, you went and studied and graduated.
Yeah.
Are you pursuing anything related to what you studied? Or is it music full time now?
No, I'm not pursuing what I studied, but I'm also in corporate, so I have a 9-to-5 in the agency side, so digital marketing and client management. Yeah.
So something creative.
Yeah.
So, if I may say, or if I may ask, do you feel like, that degree was more for wazazi more than for you?
No, I wouldn't say that. Because when I began the degree, I actually wanted to get into international relations, probably with the wrong notion, because I wanted to travel the world. Then you start doing the studies and you realize, hey, there's a lot of history, and me with no history of, no background of history, it was a struggle. Yeah.
Let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing music, or if you weren't, into creative things, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be a surgeon.
A surgeon?
Yeah.
What type?
A heart surgeon.
Wow. Why?
I just I love the the anatomy and everything about how the heart functions. So I think it would be a very interesting field.
I feel like you're still, being poetic even though you're talking about surgery.
Oh. I think it's just beautiful. Just look at the heart, the veins, the arteries. It's such a beautiful organ.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, now there's a lot of upcoming singers and songwriters who are, coming up.
Yeah.
They just cleared. Maybe wametoka St. Juma lilikuwa?
Maybe.
Maybe. Naona kuangalia saizi.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give them in terms of navigating this industry, especially as a female artist?
So what I'd tell them is to stand their ground. Make sure when you're dealing with people, you have contracts that, give give a framework of how you're supposed to work with those people. It just helps to regulate hiccups that might come up, but also tap into your creativity. Don't let people to influence you to a point that you're moving away from what exactly that music or that songwriting means to you. Yeah.
Now, in terms of the hiccups that you just mentioned, what are the challenges that you've faced since 2016?
Yeah. So there are financial struggles because I'm an independent artist, so I fund practically everything, and then I'm a one-man team in terms of organizing everything around my music. So if there's an event, I'm the one to coordinate the band, the transport, the public, the public PR, the marketing. So it's quite a stretch. And then another challenge I've also faced is when I started out, I didn't have written down agreements. So there was always some conflict sometimes with people I'm working with when it comes to payments or structures around timelines. Yeah.
And there's also been a conversation that has been, within the music industry, especially with the female artists within the industry. People trying to take advantage of them. Have you ever been, let's get serious for a moment, because I feel like this is something that needs to be addressed, especially with new artists. Have you ever been in certain situations like like those?
Luckily, I haven't. I haven't been in such situations, but I guess with just the whole issue about female artists having a struggle. So during my first days dealing with producers, I had to go with, let's say, a friend just to feel safe. Yeah, just in case. Yeah. But
do you feel like more conversations need to be there with concern to this?
Yeah, just I think just women face a lot of challenges, not only in the music industry, just even in every field or even in the world. There are a lot of struggles, femicide, rape, and all that. So I think we really need to go deep down into the roots to finding a solution on how we can change our mindsets in regards to that entitlement that maybe this other sex has in terms of the women.
I wouldn't say it's the whole sex in general.
Okay. Okay.
I would say it's just a few individuals here and there that are creating a bad reputation in terms of helping women within the industry to grow.
Okay. Maybe where I'm coming from is also from a background where probably you'd see a woman getting harassed, then you also keep quiet. You're still.
Have you ever been in such a situation where you observed or witnessed such a thing?
Yeah, not in the industry, but just even, let's say, in school or something. I've seen that, and it's hard for me to approach because, of course, physical strength with a man, I can't, we can't compare. And then you'd probably see just men watching this harassment happening, and they're not doing anything. You get? So that's why people see they put together like the whole pool, the one who's perpetrating and the one who's watching.
Wow. Interesting. There's a lot of policing that needs to happen with regard to, brother to brother, sister to sister. So I do agree with you there. Hopefully, something can be done. And these conversations need to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
So what's next for Lynn Aswani?
I guess I just want to do more collaborations.
There's actually a conversation that I was having earlier on. We want to see a Lynn Aswani video. So when are we having a Lynn Aswani video? We have the EP, we are enjoying the music, already have a favorite track. Actually two.
Okay. Which ones are those?
City Chezwa.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other one about the airplane.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for music videos, I can't give us a timeline.
Yeah.
But when the finances come together, there's definitely gonna be music videos.
Well, let me ask you this before we conclude.
Yeah.
It is challenging, of course, for an independent artist, no matter your country, you know, coming up with funds by yourself, studio time, promoting, you know, and the PR and, of course, the videos.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in getting signed with all the conversations that we're hearing with people saying, I wish I never did?
No, I wouldn't go to a label. Yeah. Just for my peace of mind and for autonomy when it comes to my art, I wouldn't go that route. Yeah.
Now, in terms of success as a musician, what do you think is the best way to navigate it?
So,
as an independent artist.
So I think the best way to navigate it is being patient. And as you're starting out, I know the numbers speak, yes, but you should probably lean more towards the impact of the music before concentrating so much on the numbers, because it can really pull you down and demotivate you. And then just standing your ground and building a community that resonates with your type of music. Because now with building that community, you'll find that through peer-to-peer relationships from that community, you get to tap into other audiences. Yeah.
There's something I would like us to conclude with. I was doing that same research, and I read that you're supposed to start with 1,000 real fans, not just, you know, Facebook likes.
Yeah.
Because numbers do lie.
Yeah.
You know, there are people with bought numbers, you get. So 1,000 real fans equals a successful music career. Do you have a plan for that?
Yeah. Yeah. I sort of try to be very, very close to those people who actually call themselves fans to my music, and just trying to understand them and communicating with them frequently. So it's sort of build that relationship, because I feel like I'm relatable. I'm there with them.
You are relatable. You know, you're quite nice to talk to as well.
Yeah. So that sort of helps me to get to tap into people's hearts, and they in turn just become fans or bring someone else as a fan.
And I want to help you out with that. We want to help you out with that here at Good Morning Kenya. Let us know. Where can we find you on social media?
So you can find me on Instagram as Lina Swani, on YouTube as Lina Swani, and on Twitter as Aswani Vugutsa.
Vugutsa.
Yeah, Vugutsa.
I was having some difficulty pronouncing that name, Vugutsa.
Vugutsa, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming through to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you for having me.
French imekata, but
tutapatana nyuma ya tent.
Tutapatana nyuma ya tent tuongee kando nipatie some notes.
Okay.
Yeah. That was Lina Swani. Be sure to go and follow her on all her social media platforms. Her EP is out right now. Support, support, support. We'll be back after this.
Okay.
World Blood Donor Day is celebrated every year on the 14th of June. This year's theme is donating blood as a sign of solidarity. This event will be held at Olkalau in Nyandarua County and will be presided over by Mutai Kagwe, the CS of Health. Safe blood transfusions are critical aspects of care and public health, and there is need for a consistent blood bank in Kenya, as there is someone who needs blood every 2 seconds. You are encouraged to regularly and voluntarily donate blood in order to address the current shortage. Help save lives by donating blood.
Hujui kama kile chumba ni changu mimi na mume wangu? Asa ukatie simu ni nani? When ni rais, I don't want to talk to you kids. That's why.
Kwa kifupi Maya anifanya kama ulimi mimi nazungukwa na meno. Haya.
Hivi ni vitaka nini? Unapoelezea masaibu ama vitisho vya kids. Wadhani unisaidie.
Sasa wewe lala naye. Ukitaka mtie hata kwa pani. Lakini kwenye kampuni dada, unitoi.
Step in the ring with me because we have a lesson to teach everybody.
Differently.
I got to get the note taker through a well-wisher. That is one of our institutions, Kenya Society for the Blind. They were donated 2 of them to my institution.
Nimefikiria mambo ya kwenda shule na wenye sijapata mwenye anaweza kunisupport upande wa shule. Ningependa niende shule ya mablind pia mimi nijifunze kama wengine.
We're differently abled, differently.
Something that you have already. You should wait till the morning. In the darkness, you forget the sunshine. I know it's hard to see sometimes, but pain is just strength in disguise. I know you feel that the grass is greener and seeing your heart is broken. You don't know you're chosen. Give thanks to the Father. You are blessed daughter. Make you know that you're such a beauty through the concrete. I watch you grow. Real and truly, they would never want you to know that the answer you possess much more than you know. Cause they can never come close. Night and day. If you're dancing in the party with somebody, make sure they love you night and day.
Brother, I want to tell you, say, yo, them boy from the UK move like them want to take over the place, you know. Yeah, man, me and my youth see it, man, everything. I hear a girl in my chat right now, brother. What you want me to do? Say no more, isn't it? What do you want to do? I did.
If you end up with nobody, you're somebody's better. Night and day.
Easy, you know. How you trying about please me, you know. I can take that deeper, you know. I just wanna know how deep is your love. Find by me. I'm just trying to find out where your mind at when you come and wine on me. Day and night I pray I stay alive when I might run the front line. So would you ride for me? I tell me something if this really your time to be. 'Cause really, truly, you know you're
such a beauty through the concrete. I watch you grow. Real and truly, they would never want you to know that the answer you possess much more than you know. Cause they can never come close. Night and day. If you're dancing in the party with somebody, make sure they
The World Blood Donor Day is celebrated every year on the 14th of June. This year's theme is donating blood as a sign of solidarity. This event will be held at Olkalau in Nyandarua County and will be presided over by Mutai Kagwe, the CS of Health. There's someone who needs blood every 2 seconds. You are encouraged to regularly and voluntarily donate blood in order to address the current shortage. Help save lives by donating blood.
Abantu ba Minto Buyamore, stesheni inayoipenda ya Minto FM inakualika ujumuike nasi katika bonge la roadshow itakayofanyika kwenye kaunti ya Nyamira siku ya Alhamisi tarehe 16 Juni. Msafara wa Minto FM utapitia Kijauri, Nyansiongo, Manga, Keroka, Gesima, Bosoveti, Konate, Dangenyo, Nyamira na Miruka. Nayo tarehe 17 tutatembelea maeneo ya Ikonge, Ekerenyu, Magwangwa, Magombo, Tombe, Kemera, Omogonchoro, Getare, Jogo na kumalizia mjini Kisii. Kutakuwa na vichekesho, burudani na zawadi kemkem za kushindaniwa. Pia utakutana na kikosi kizima cha watangazaji unaowaenzi.
Minto FM yenye karuga y'umuguzi.
There's still time. Take this girl back to Green Hill before our father returns.
When father returns, I'll talk to him and break off the engagement.
And you're now in love with another woman from Green Hill? Throw her down the void hole.
Yes.
Mercy, my king, my king.
You just stop right now.
That's not ordinary lightning. It's lightning that's intended to be used in trials. To not withstand it would mean death.
It seems being the prince isn't a blessing, but a misfortune. You think you are so smart, Odette? Well, you are not going to get away with this.
Actually, I just came here to leave my things.
Oh, well, that's not a problem. I'll cancel the reservation so I can go with you.
No, I can't take you with me. I'm sorry.
Mr. and Mrs. Paulina Morat and Camilo Fonseca. He's officially their child, and his name is now Mauricio Fonseca Morat.
He's mine, and I've gone through a lot just for him. So you are not going to spoil any of my plans. So I want you to stay away from him. Deceive me! You fooled me! Hey, it was because he wanted to be with my brother!
After 18 months of intense construction, Africa's grandest expressway, the Nairobi Expressway, is finally open to the public, albeit on a pilot basis. This road is fast becoming a model of public-private partnership here in Africa. But what do we know yet about this expressway since it was opened to the public on the 14th of May 2022?
If Thika Road was version 2.0, then this is version 2.1. So we have gone to a higher level of delivering roads. And that's really will be the legacy that we should remember President Kenyatta, that he showed us that it's possible to do more by encompassing the capacity, the will, and the resources of broader team of stakeholders.
This week on Inside Government, we are talking about the Nairobi Expressway, and we are talking to the chairman of Kenya National Highways Authority, Engineer Wangai Ndirango. Watch the program right here on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. I'm Mike Gitai. That was Nafro with his latest song, one of his latest songs actually. But actually nataka nianze interview hivi. Nafro.
Niambie.
Hii ni ngoma yako?
Hii ni ngoma yangu.
Kwa nini sikuoni kwa video?
Kwa sababu nasikia sauti. The concept of the video was we were supposed to showcase Nairobi through dance. So, and I was not in the country at the moment, so I had to like get dancers to do the video in Nairobi, and then that's how the video came up.
Just a quick background. Only relocated to Denmark.
Yeah.
About 9 years ago?
About 9 years ago, yes. And actually I was a dancer before, yeah. So through dance I met the people who took me to Denmark, yeah. So now I'm based in Denmark, a country called Faroe Islands, which is in Denmark. Yeah. So I've been there for the last 9 years. I've been doing music for the last 5-6 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go way back. To choir days. How old? 8 hapo?
I was around 8-9 years old.
How come you didn't stick it out to kabaki kwa choir, sing zile church songs?
Well, you know, teenagers wakigrow. Nilianza kuimba choir around 8-9. Nilitoka choir around 13-14-15. Hiyo ni ile time unaona hapa itabidi ni change step kwa sababu life ina change personally. And then I'm not interested in singing in the choir anymore because like my friends wana dance huko, mimi nasikia mbaya, niko huko bado naimba, so ikabidi ni wajoin, unajua. Yeah.
So ilikuwa more like peer pressure.
We can say that, yeah. Ilikuwa peer pressure as well as I like trying new things, yeah. I like exploring things, and I like changing my environment. So I felt like it was just time to change, and that's why I moved to dance.
It's very interesting. Okay, now in terms of dancing, let's move away from the music for a minute.
Yeah.
In the video, nilikuwa naona Chiloba. Mlitona wapi na Chiloba? Chiloba is one of my good friends.
Chiloba is my day one.
Anasumbuaga watu sana na dance hapa Nairobi.
Yeah, Chiloba is my day one. Big up Chiloba. So me and Chiloba, we go way back when we started a dance crew called DSI. Tulikuwa Sakata season 2 and 3, yeah. DSI means dancing investigation. That was our first dance crew. Me and Chiluba, we go from it's I can say around 15 years now tumejuana na Chiluba. So I had to, like, when I have a project, it's always Chiluba. Lazima tuongee, lazima tu discuss itakuaje, tunapangana. Yeye akitaka usaidizi ananipigia, we discuss, tunapangana. So Chiluba is definitely my day one.
Now in terms of dancing, are you still incorporating it within your videos?
Yeah, of course.
Is it still a part of your life?
Yeah, my project, I want to highlight Africa because right now I'm based in Europe, yeah. I want to highlight Africa. Africa, we have so many things that people out there don't know we have, yeah. Nilitembea huko nje nikaona wase wanadhani tunaishi kwa misitu. So we need to highlight our culture, yeah. So our culture is dance, food, clothes. So all these things nitajaribu nizincorporate kwa project yangu. And that's my goal in the end of this year. Just to highlight the African culture. Yeah.
In terms of the African culture,
yeah.
Let's talk music culture. Nairobi specifically, Kenya specifically.
Yeah.
Gengeton. How recognized is it in the Faroe Islands?
It's not. Mostly in Europe, they recognize Afrobeats in terms of like African music. Afrobeats, and now Amapiano is trying to do something as well. Also Afro swing. Actually, watu kama kina Sauti Sol wanajulikana mbaya sana. Yeah. And that's something we need to change because Gengeton is like, that's us, yeah? That's our thing. We need to push it out there as well.
It's interesting you said that because, you know, that has been the conversation.
Yeah.
Watu wanasema our biggest export in music should be gengeton. But like you said, it's not really recognized.
No.
As much as, you know, these other sounds are West Africa, South Africa. Unaona tunafaa kufanya nini?
I think first of all it begins at home, yeah. Kuna venye we don't support our own. For example, a big artist atatoka Nigeria kuja Kenya, a headline, which makes no sense. Artist wetu wa gengeton anafungulia artist wa Nigeria. That makes no sense to me personally. Because, for example, if an artist come from like USA to Denmark where I live, there's no way they're gonna headline unless it's a tour they're having, yeah. There's no way they're gonna headline. They are always like among the first people to perform. Then the people who are local, they close the shows, yeah. So that's something we need to do. We need to change also, like in terms of like radio stations and TV stations, they play mostly music that people are listening to from outside, yeah. We don't like play a lot of our own. That's something else we need to change, yeah.
It's interesting you said that because Eric Omondi, sijui umefollow Kenya amekuwa akisema.
Yeah, nimemfollow.
Amekuwa akisema the same thing about headlining.
Yeah.
Ni sisi hatupendi our own music?
I think tunapenda our own music, we just don't support enough. For example, mimi nikikuja hapa, mimi am Kenyan, I'm full Kenyan, yeah. Mziki yangu imeenea sana Europe, Australia and USA. But hapa Africa bado kuna venye haijaenea. So and now like when I do something like this, I'm trying to push our African music because wanapenda mziki yetu uko nje, but sisi hatupende mziki yetu kwa nini? Wanapenda yao na wapenda yetu. So we just need to open up and support our own. Make sure like ukiona talent, hata my investors, yeah. Ukiona talent, weka pesa yako hapo. Saidia vijana wainuke, yeah. So it's all about everyone a support, eh? Tukidu hivyo, it's the same thing that happens in Nigeria. You think mbona mziki yao inaenda hivyo? It's because my investors huko wanaona hii ni pesa tunafaa, nikiinvest hapa sahi in 10 years I know I will get good money back here. So that's the only thing we need to do. Support. Yeah.
Support. Yeah. Now, in terms of support, you're signed.
I'm signed, yeah.
You're a signed artist. You also have a publishing deal.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
The publishing deal came faster. I'm signed by Bentley Records, wako New York, yeah. That one came fast. Actually, they contacted me after I released my song called Like Nafro. They liked the vibe. They called me. We negotiated the deal. And I signed the deal. So it wasn't like I went looking for anything. Wanatambua mziki yetu ya Africa. It's you know, that's why I'm telling you, we just need to support our own. Kama ni watu wako US, New York, na hii ni mziki nimeimba na Kiswahili, na wanani sign, why don't we do that here? There's so much talent here. So much talent. If we want, tunaweza beba Afrika yote.
Kuna mtu nilikuwa naongelesha msanii. They were saying with Kenyan artists there's a lack of identity.
I don't think so though. I don't think so. For example, sorry to use Nigeria as an example, but it's because they're on top right now, yeah. We might know them for Afrobeats, but kuna watu wanafanya hip hop huko, kuna watu wanafanya amapiano huko. They are doing so many things, but the only ones that are being played are Afrobeats kwa sababu wamepush their own sound.
But that's just the thing, you know, like for instance, you're referencing Nigerian music because they have Afrobeat successfully. South Africa,
amapiano.
And currently there's an amapiano tour in Nairobi. you know.
Exactly.
So that's what I mean. In terms of identity, you find Kenyan artists, instead of creating and, you know, sticking to this sound or formulating a way where we have an identity in terms of sound, they do amapiano.
Yeah.
They do Afrobeat. They do very soulful, very nice, but soulful music that sounds more American than Kenyan. That's what I mean.
Okay, I know that's what you mean, but we have identity. For example, we just talked about Gengeton, yeah? That's our identity. We have it. We just don't push it enough. And then you find us trying to cover up the lack of support by jumping into other genres so that we can at least be seen. But we have our own identity. It's just that we don't support it. So if we supported our identity, then it will bring up the whole thing up. Even the people who are making like other genres, they are mapiano people, watabebwa na identity yetu.
But where does it start? Kwa sababu, I'm not sure if you've been following, you know, when mtu ushavuka boda. Sijui kama umefollow conversation.
Yeah.
But where does it start? Does it start with, you know, the people on top who are saying probably Gengeton is too explicit for consumption by the general public? Or does it start with, you know, the youth, the consumers of this music?
I think everyone has a part to play. Yeah? For example, sisi wasanii, I'm not saying like we stop making explicit content, yeah? I'm just saying like we also think about your brand. How do you want to brand yourself? If I make all the time explicit content, then that's my brand. Yeah? I cannot perform in, if some kids have a show, maybe there's a high school that has a concert, I can't be called to the high school because I'm performing too much explicit content. Yeah? So it's up to us kama wasanii pia tujue venye tunacheza nayo atuchomi sana, and also the people who can invest in us watupatie sayo support. So see what we have a part to play. It's not only the artists ama only the people in charge of the government or the music societies and stuff like that. We all have parts to play. If we play our part, they play their part, we are gonna grow up. Yeah. It's that simple to me.
It's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Now, before we continue with the interview, I'm sure people back at home are watching their screens, and they see a white device on your arm. Tell us, talk to us.
So this is, it's just a sensor, yeah? Growing up, I have type 1 diabetes, yeah? For like the last 21 years. And ukiona hii usidhani ati ni, it's just a sensor for my medicine, yeah? That's all. It's nothing more, nothing less.
Si Illuminati wamekam.
Siko Illuminati bado. Lakini walinipigia simu.
So let me ask you this then. In terms of music, I can, you know, imagine how challenging it is, especially for a performer, because you also dance.
Yeah.
Has you know, your type 1 diabetes affected you in terms of your music career?
No, not really, because like I have the best medicine possible in the world right now. Like I just got the new one, the newest one just came out 3 months ago, and I have that now. I have like the best medicine, so it's easier for me to manage my diabetes, yeah? So it hasn't really affected me because I have the best care possible. Yeah.
Back to the music.
Back to the music. Yeah.
Kenya umekuja kutawala sasa.
Kenya lazima tutawale. Tumekuja kubeba hii flag yetu lazima iende kila mahali. Yeah. That's why I'm on the ground right now.
Plans for an EP?
I have an EP coming up. I have an album coming up. I have singles coming up. I have so many projects. I have over 500 songs on my hard disk. So nikitaka sasa naweza drop album 4. Yeah, music is coming, trust me.
It's interesting, before we continue, you know, with the game plan, with your career, it's interesting you said that you have all this music on your hard drive.
Yeah.
Because kuna watu wanasema maybe ni work ethic haiko within our artists. Do you agree?
I don't. I
Kwa
don't.
sababu unaweza pata mtu alitoa single, anangoja ipate views kadhaa YouTube ndo aringe, alafu single lingine, you know, watch repeat.
There's a fact that people need to know, yeah? Every artist has more unreleased music than released music. That's a fact. Cause
every artist?
Every artist. Trust me, every artist. Kama wewe ni artist, you're a proper artist, you have more unreleased music than. Because for me, I make a song a day. That's my motto. A song a day. I have to make a song a day for the last 5 years. So, unaona, it's not about the work ethic. It's about like the exposure and the support. Hiyo ndo watu hawana. But mimi wasanii wenye najua ni wasanii proper, like proper artists, yeah? They have so much content that we just need to support them.
Let me ask you now, in terms of, you said you make a song a day. You know, not a lot of people are, you know, privileged enough to do that. Do you think because you're a producer as well, that's how you got that advantage?
5-6 years ago, I was nothing in terms of like production and engineering. I took that time to teach myself how to do all that, yeah. And it's not that I have like so much cash I can do whatever I want. No, it's ni kujipanga, yeah. If you ukijipanga poa, utapata equipment. You don't need to buy like the big equipment in the. For example, as low as 6K, 7K Kenyan shillings, yeah. You can get your own equipment to record yourself, make music, produce, do anything, make podcasts. So it's not about like not having the ability to buy studio equipment. No, it's about kuwa tayari kujipanga na kuweza kujipanga. Yeah.
Vile umeiput ndio pia inafanya nitake kuuliza kwa sababu kuna watu wanataka kuwa wasanii but they're not taking the time to learn what it takes to become the artist they want to be. For instance, I was having an interview earlier on with Lina Swani. Make sure you go and support her on social media. And she went to school to study music. You taught yourself to produce music even before the deal. So are people not curious enough to find out what other people did to succeed?
I think also you need everything. You need a strategy. Yeah? For example, I have not gone to music school, but now I know all about all the music things I need to know to produce my music. Yeah. For example, the Kipenzi song, I produced that song. Yeah. I have all the equipment to help me navigate through the production thing, yeah. So I think it's all about having a strategy, as I told you earlier. Just have a strategy. It's not so much money to buy simple equipment. I like right now in my house I have like I have this set where I have a laptop, I have a DAW, digital audio workstation, I have a mic, and I have monitors. Yeah, that one goes with me everywhere. It's not more than like 15K Kenyan shillings. Yeah. So if you really want, you can invest in yourself and have a strategy as well.
So you have to be curious about, you know, the music.
Yeah, and now everything is on the internet. That's how I learned everything. Just go and research. Yeah, everything is up there. Production, engineering, how to record yourself, anything you want to know. Hata kuendesha ndege ukitaka kujua iko huko kwa internet.
The school of YouTube.
Yeah. So like it's all about you having a strategy na ukuwe ready kufanya kazi.
Now Chiloba is an artist as well in his own right.
Chiloba is even directing now.
Are we just shot a collab with him?
Yeah, there's something coming up. But I want to say Chiloba is a director as well. We just shot a video with Chiloba last week for BNA. and he directed the whole thing. So Chiluba is really working out there, and if that's the work ethic I'm talking about, we are all working. If you put in the work, trust me, you're going places. Yeah.
Patience.
Piga kazi.
Any other collaborations?
My next single, I have a single coming out next month. It's called Sunday, and I have done it with a friend of mine from New Jersey. He's called Paradise. Go check him out. He's called Paradise, everywhere. He's a very good rapper, He's from New Jersey, and I have a song with him coming out. The next single inakuja na mtu mzito anaitwa Prezo. Si mnajua Prezo? I have a single with Prezo coming out soon. I have some projects as well. Sitaki kusema majina yao, but ni wazito pia huku Kenya. But hizo mbili ziko next month and then the month after, yeah.
Now, in terms of the Kenyan takeover, you're doing the media tour. When you go back, is it more relaxed or more tense? Because you have your 9 to 5, but you have this music within you.
Yeah, it's more tense actually. There we never sleep. There, if you're lucky to sleep, like in a day, unagonga 5 hours. Because I have like a schedule where I sleep in power naps. I sleep in power naps. The maximum I can sleep at once is probably 4 hours, because I have like a schedule. The only time I sleep is maybe on Sunday only. That's when I can sleep like more than 4 hours.
Is that healthy?
It's healthy ukijipanga. Ukijipanga.
Buddha.
Niko hapa, uone vile niko healthy.
We like the work ethic, we like your putting in work, and of course we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
But you need more sleep.
I need more sleep. Ona mimi nimechangamka mpaka kuliko.
Now, watu wanaweza kupata wapi on social media?
On Instagram, Nafro Music, YouTube, Nafro Music, TikTok, Nafro Music, Twitter, nipate Nafro, the real Nafro on Twitter.
N-A-F-R-O.
Nafro, N-A-F-R-O. Actually, Nafro means the African from Nairobi. So I'm really trying to push our country up, Yeah.
Asante sana. Thank you so much for coming through.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching Good Morning Kenya. That was Nafro. Make sure you go and support him on Nafro Music on all social media platforms. And of course, subscribe to his YouTube channel. Earlier on, we had Lynn Aswani. Make sure you go and do the same. Support her music. That's on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Do people use Tumblr anymore?
No.
I don't think so.
TikTok maybe, yeah.
If you missed this episode of Good Morning Kenya, kumbuka bado unaweza tupata at KBC Channel 1 TV. That's on YouTube and www.kbc.co.ke. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Huyo tumbo karai. Sio huyo kwa pande hii. Unaona hiyo mkono wake bila natosana. Haisi kula unga ati kilo 2 ati asibe huyu.
Msee nikikula mfuko 2 ni sako. Unaninunulianga. Hujui mimi.
Hajawahi muona.
Hiyo ndio kweli wa mambo. Kelele ni ya nini unaleta hapa? Kama ukiniona
yako 40 imefika.
Stop there.
Hii ni mnyang'anyani, hii ni mwabaki.
Huyu akisimamisha gari, huyu anakuja na anaingilia.
Hii ni muli bakwa, hii ni mshukui ya pesa.
Yaani wewe nyamaza. Usingilie mambo ya watu wawili. Ndio kolia. Wewe ni kazi gani unafanyanga?
Hii ni Mitikasi leo, makala kutoka BBC yaliyomo. Tunaangazia maendeleo ya hivi karibuni katika ulimwengu wa sarafu za kidijitali. Baadaye safari ya kwanza ya ndege iliyopaswa kuwapeleka wahamiaji kutoka Uingereza hadi Rwanda imesitishwa. Kisha tunamulika soko la nguo za mitumba barani Afrika. Mubashara kutoka Nairobi, Kenya, usibanduke. Natumai hujambo sehemu yoyote unayotupokea. Karibu katika habari za biashara zinazokuhusu, uchambuzi wa kina na mahojiano. Jina langu mie ni Hamida Abubakar. Ulimwengu wa sarafu za kidijitali umesambaratika hivi majuzi na kuweza kupelekea hasara kubwa kwa wawekezaji kwa mara ya kwanza katika kipindi cha mwaka mmoja. Sasa thamani ya soko la crypto imeporomoka hadi dola trilioni 1. Bitcoin ambayo ndio sarafu ya kidijitali yenye umaarufu zaidi duniani imedidimia kwa zaidi ya 25% katika kipindi cha siku 5. Sarafu hiyo iliwahi kuwa na thamani ya dola 70,000 kwa mwezi Novemba mwaka jana. Aidha, majukwaa ya kuuza na kununua crypto pia yameweza kuathirika. Mapema wiki hii moja ya majukwaa hayo ambayo ni ya Coinbase iliweza kutangaza kusimamishwa kazi kwa 18% ya wafanyikazi wao kwa sababu ya hali mbaya ya uchumi. Pia soko kubwa zaidi duniani la crypto, Binance, hapo Jumatatu liliweza kusimamisha kwa muda utoaji wa sarafu ya Bitcoin. Sasa hayo yamejiri siku chache tu baada ya shirika la habari la kimataifa la Reuters kuweza kutangaza kuwa huenda Binance iliweza kuwezesha shughuli za biashara haramu zenye thamani ya dola bilioni 2.5 35, fedha zilizotokana na uhalifu wa mitandaoni, uuzaji wa dawa za kulevya na udanganyifu. Je, haya yote yamaanisha nini haswa barani Afrika ambako mamlaka za kudhibiti sekta ya fedha kama vile benki kuu zimeweza kukataza matumizi ya sarafu za crypto? Sasa awali mwanahabari wa BBC kitengo cha biashara Peter Wakaba alizungumza na mtaalam na alianza kwa kumuuliza kwa nini Kenya na Nigeria zimeweza kubobea kama nchi zinazoongoza katika matumizi ya sarafu za kidijitali au crypto. Tumsikilize.
Sababu kubwa ni exposure ambayo hizi nchi mbili zimekuwa nazo. Ukiangalia Nigeria pamoja na Kenya, idadi ya watu wanaotumia internet ni kubwa kuliko nchi nyingine za Afrika. Na ukizingatia transaction au miamala mingi ya cryptocurrencies sasa hivi inatumia internet.
Ni nchi moja tu ya Kiafrika ambayo kwa sasa imehalalisha utumiaji wa sarafu hizi kama tuseme pesa halali. Waafrika watumiaji sarafu hizi na zinaweza kupata matumizi yapi katika bara hili?
Tuna uwezo wa kutengeneza vitu naita play to earn games au michezo ambao watu wanacheza. Sasa hivi vijana wanacheza PlayStations lakini wanapoteza time, hawalipi chochote. Then tuna uwezo wa kutokenize hizi stocks au hisa tunasema. So